But for the most part, like, we have time. It's just how you allocate the time. I think figure out how to allocate your time a little bit better. If you just do that, I think, you could double your income even just doing that, right?
Look, I get it. The Toronto real estate market is confusing. Whether you're a new or experienced investor or just looking for a home to raise your family in, join us at Broadview Table Talks as you sit around the table with my friends and talk about the real estate and the ever-changing market in Toronto. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Broadview Table Talks. I'm here with my good friend John Chai from Union Capital Realty. What's up?
What's up, Ken?
Fellow realtor, investor, broker, owner, builder, hustler. Yo, you work hard versus everybody else I know, especially in your brokerage too.
Well, I think, I always say that, everybody leaves where they're working and they want to join this industry and they say they want to hustle, but they end up, starting off with the hustle for the first month or two, and next thing you know, they're at the gym at 10 in the morning, hair salon by noon, doing their nails at 4. But they left a 9-to-5 job getting scared they're going to lose their job.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah. So I always say to people that treat it like 9-to-5, because if you're at a regular 9-to-5 job, you'd find a way to make it work, right?
Yeah.
You
don't
know what I mean?
call in sick. You're worried you might lose your job. But I see most realtors, they get a light sniffle and they're staying at home, working from home, which is probably watching TV.
Distracted. And you got to get rid of that distraction. And you started a new habit recently, waking up early.
Yep.
To hustle.
6 o'clock every day, straight to the gym, into the office by 8. I get more done between 8 to 10 than I would get done from 8 to 12. Yeah.
Right, because the phones aren't ringing.
Yeah, no one's awake.
That's it, everyone's sleeping in. So that's awesome, man, because I know a lot of people need this wake-up call to be able to just, I don't know, I guess it comes down to their motivation of why they're doing it. Right?
Yeah, I think some people lose purpose on why they want to do this. Essentially, I believe you got to believe in what you're selling. I think have a passion for the business. It's at the end of the day, yes, it's about earning a commission check and earning a living. But if you enjoy it, it's light work. Yeah, it's light work.
Well, that's real estate, though. I mean, there's other businesses where you also have your hands in. The restaurant business, don't forget about that.
Yeah.
All right? And there's always like different angles of different, motivations of things that you're trying to do. And that all takes time and energy and motivation and work.
Right.
For people that have just one business, the real estate commissions, whatever it is, 9-to-5 job. Some of these people, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to whip it into them. So how are you motivating your team and the people that work with you, for you?
I think on a day-to-day basis, I show them that, the benefits of motivating yourself and try to self-motivate, because, this business is a lonely business. Like, if you work on a team, or a team environment brokerage like what we offer here at our office, then we try to encourage everybody to get to work, and how do we help the next client out, where's the next deal. Essentially that's the first step is to self-motivate. I think that's the tough part in this business, is that people lose motivation because they get lonely. There's not many friends, or friends become enemies in this business, I believe.
I don't know about that, man. Like, sure. If you do a wrong deal and the deal goes south, then maybe, right? Like, there's vendettas and stuff, right? But like, I think there's more. I mean, look at us, right? We're different brokerages, different offices, but we're still working together. We're still really good friends. You know what I mean? So, I think it's more collaboration, if anything, and if anything, you should be closer to those people, right?
Yeah.
So that, because if there's a deal that needs to be, massaged a little bit,
right,
it's that much easier.
Yeah.
Right. So, but speaking about the hustle, I don't think you can teach it. That's the problem. Like,
no.
You have to have that built in.
To some extent, yeah. I think you got to have it in you, right? I always say to people, we're all under the same clock. It's the same 24 hours, and I look at myself and I say to other people, I said, listen, I'm putting in my 6 o'clock gym that I've never done before in my life, and I still operate the business the same way with that one additional hour that I put aside. That didn't change anything except for make myself feel better, healthier. But for the most part, like, we have time. It's just how you allocate the time. I think for a lot of people in this industry, is to reflect, take some time, and figure out how to allocate your time a little bit better. If you just do that, I think, you could double your income even just doing that, right?
That's right. Being more effective with your time and resources as well too, right? I find it's not about working harder, because you're really just stealing from other parts of your life. Like it should be, the best way to do is 8-8-8, right? 8 hours work, 8 hours play, 8 hours sleep.
Right.
Like that's ideal. But then there's travel time, there's kids, there's all this kind of crap, relationships, all that stuff, right? That you got to factor in there. So it's just, I guess, how you choose it and how you can make more with the resources that you have, right?
Yeah.
You use time, money, time resources, time leverage, or people leverage, right?
Yeah.
So
and think outsourcing, there's value for your time, don't get me wrong. I think, I see people trying to do handyman work and do this and do that. And at the end of the day, you factor in your time spent sitting in traffic. What is the cost of getting a handyman to go repair something? $150?
Yeah.
Or your time to drive down, parking, this and that. And you have great opportunities that you may have missed.
That's right. For sure. Outsourcing is a big thing, and time is way more valuable than money, for sure. Especially you have to really choose between that. I mean, I get that if you don't have money, then you want to do it yourself.
Right.
To save a little bit. I get it, where you can save, of course.
And sometimes you end up trying to save and, you end up figuring out that you can't even do it, and you end up hiring somebody.
Or doing it wrong,
yeah.
or something happens along the way that you missed the opportunity, like you're saying. So for sure. How would people, do you advise, like what's a common objection you've had in your office lately with people that, I can't do this, I can't do that? What have you seen? Even some of the people you work with, for example.
I think most common is, the client doesn't want to buy it, and I always say that, it's ultimately maybe that particular client doesn't want to buy it. But I think in this market is you need to find purpose for them. If there's a purpose, there's a reason for them to say, hey, let's take a look at this, maybe dial back a bit and see their family situation, maybe take a look at maybe building real estate, a real estate portfolio for their kids in the future, right? Or maybe they, as recently, the rental market, especially around major universities, for example, are, sky high. Like 1-bedroom and dens in some areas are north of $3,000 these days for rental, right? And, you could sit down and plan with your clients and say, hey, listen, 3 years from now or 5 years from now, your kids are most likely going to enter university. And, as a parent, where do you want to send your kids to? Is it University of Toronto or, a university downtown of others? But for the most part, is you could use that as a way to help them plan their future. And maybe that brings them purpose in saying, hey, I do want to do this. And it doesn't stop from, I'm not interested at all. Yeah. I think a lot of clients themselves, they don't think that far ahead because they're busy with their day-to-day life. Right?
Until it's too late, really.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And this is why, I say, we walk into the bank every year and we look at buying, retirement, funds for the future. And we don't really think about it in the long run, but if you take that as one avenue and you accumulate 20, 50,000 every single year for 20, 30 years, that's another portfolio of revenue that you generate when you retire. But that is a professional advising you on doing that on a yearly basis. Is hey Ken, come in. It's time for you to buy your retirement savings. This is what we suggest, but we should do the same on real estate. Is advise our clients. Hey, these are your future plans. I think that your kids may need, or may your retirement for yourself you may need, and let's figure out what we can invest into for the future.
For sure, it comes down to motivation, finding the purpose, like you're saying, for each individual, and with getting them to invest into. First of all, you're walking to the bank laughing, so you know that. But second of all, when you go in there, absolutely, it's about building net worth, and that's what real estate does for you. Yeah. Because over the 25, 30 years that you have the mortgage, when you're paying it down, somebody's paying for that mortgage.
Yep.
So if you're able to save up the capital for a down payment, whatever it takes to get into it, do it.
Yeah, 100%. I've bought a lot of pre-construction throughout my career, as you know, and it hasn't gone wrong. I think for the most part, I hear people say they've got, a sour taste in their transaction. I think, ultimately, work with a realtor that essentially has a passion for this business and is not in it for an income. And ultimately look at, what are your future objections buying this. But I think for the most part, it hasn't steered myself or any of my clients wrong, in terms of investing in 100, 200,000 over a course of 2 to 4 years. And, the returns you see typically it's double what you've invested in by the time the unit closes.
Yeah, like 5 years for sure, it's doubled. And if you look at a regular, rule of 7 or whatever, if investment's double in 7 years, it's way too long. I'd rather have it faster. Yeah. And it's the thing about real estate is that it's for sure you're going to get, like, it's going to happen. It's going to be paid down at the end of it. That's the basis of it. As long as you can carry the payments.
Yeah. Right? Like I said, it's time, right? I think time, and, a lot of clients go, is this the right time or the wrong time? And, I say, I see a lot of people that like to try to time the market, in real estate. And, for me, there's really no time. I think it's always real estate time. Like, if there's a deal or there's a reason or a purpose, then, I'm there to try to make a transaction for myself or for my clients. I think you can't time it. Listen, like, we're in an interest rates, situation right now where it is sky high, but, a lot of people forget that it was heading this direction before COVID arrived. And from COVID to now, a lot of people that already own real estate, it's put a lot of money into their pockets, without doing anything, right? And for the people that are timing the market right now, this is a great opportunity. Yes, the prices are a little bit lower in some areas. I would say in majority of the areas that are in high demand, there hasn't been much of a fluctuation. But for the most part, I would say, if you look at interest rates right now, if you don't jump in, I'm just looking at on a rental perspective. I've got 10 people that have never been in Canada signing up to lease, paying way more than what the typical local consumer would pay to be here. And you know what, a year from now, all these people are going to come out and be like, hey, listen, I'm paying 3,000 some odd dollars a month to rent. I want to buy, right? And what does that 3,000 carry these days? About 700,000 in a mortgage?
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
These people are going to come out and purchase. And you know what? For the people that are local, that know this and that has been timing the market, they're going to be the ones that are going to miss out, I believe. Like, it's unfortunate, and I do believe I'm going to, I think I'm going to, I believe I'm going to see that happen in the coming, quarter next, I would say not quarter, but next year, I would say, we're definitely going to see a change in interest rates. Eventually what goes up has to come down. But in terms of prices, it's adjusted a bit, because of consumer fear, but overall, we got so much immigration happening and there's so much that the city has to offer. I think people still want to come in. This is going back to what we discussed about, realtors and, their biggest hurdle with clients, right? It's, I think, education. I think, clients only read what's available on the news, right?
And it's all meant to scare you.
Yeah. If it's not here to scare you or here to let you talk about it, then it's not news.
Yeah, that's right. They're not going to watch it. So, I mean, there's also the immigration stuff for sure. So demand's being pushed up, but also supply is being constricted too with rising prices, levies, and people not building. Builders not building because there's no demand for it or whatever, right? Because no one's buying because everyone's just sitting on the sidelines. Meanwhile, rent growth is year over year, 20% increasing. Yeah. So at some point, they're going to realize that, hey, why don't I just buy something instead, right? When it just doesn't cost that much, you can probably get down with 5% down, maybe 10% down, depending on the price point, and just start building equity, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just, I don't know. I don't get it. I guess it comes down to the same thing we were talking about in the beginning of this, right? Motivation. Some people just let life happen to them as opposed to designing life to make it happen for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Don't understand it.
Listen, at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong in both ways. Sure. Some people believe, live life day by day. Yeah. So real estate's not part of that portfolio, right? And they just, I'll rent here and, I'll jump to the next city in 6 months or whatever. But I still believe, being in so many countries, I think Toronto is a place that everybody wants to call home, and if that's the case, like, have that lifestyle, but also be able to have a place to call home, because eventually you may want to settle down, right? And if you're going to live life day by day and you're not here to design your life and you'll just see what happens and go day by day, and eventually that's going to stop and you're going to want to settle down and come back to Toronto and
can't afford it.
Yeah.
That's the issue. So I think finding that motivation for, first of all, finding the purpose of why you want to take that step, that motivation, whatever it is, whatever that change is, even getting up and getting dressed before a certain time when no one's awake yet, you know what I mean? Coming to work early and things like that. That takes a lot of like energy and kind of skill to really know that you got to take those steps because you'll be rewarded in the future.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I guess it's hard for people that are kind of stuck in a funk and not able to get out of bed because they're depressed or whatever and things like that. And that's very real. I think the only way to make that change is to actually make that change. You know, you got to just get up there and just do it. Just take action. Yeah. And, you know, it's like, you know, I see a lot of agents that I talk to and, you know, they say the same thing. How do you do it? You know, what's the formula? There's really no recipe. There's no shortcut for hard work. At the end of the day, it's all hard work. There's no shortcuts. No. There's no shortcuts in this business. You got to do it. Yeah. You know, and the reason why we're successful is because we work double the time that everybody else does. You know? And I always say that, like, you know, in true reality, when you time out the amount of work we put into a transaction, you know, I believe, you know, what's broadcasted is that only a fraction of what they see. Yeah, and you know what's broadcasted is always all, you know, we put in so much work, you know, there's so much running around, but reality, I always say, if you treat yourself, you know, in terms of what we earn, like if we were to earn a typical minimum wage salary or a little bit better, listen, we get paid way too much. And I believe that because of that, we should be putting in even more effort into every transaction or into our clients or into our business. And definitely we should be able to see the business grow. Yeah. Like, you know, I always say, like, you know, you have two options. Like as an agent starting off, you know, you could have an option of going to work a 9-to-5 job, getting paid $20 an hour, right? Or you come into this business and sky's the limit, right? Well, the reason why we get paid so much, first of all, is because the stakes are high. You know, the cost of making a wrong move is very costly for whatever decision you're making as a consumer. So as a consumer, you're going to go with somebody you trust, somebody that's a professional, somebody that's dedicated their life, wakes up early, does the work, goes the extra mile above and beyond, versus somebody who's just kind of letting it happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's why the stakes are high. I agree. It's like I used a simple line. I said, you know, do you pick the cheapest laser eye surgeon? Yeah. You know, you only got two eyes, and they're here to make it happen for you, right? Or do you pick the best one and make sure that they do it right? And same with people's, you know, lifelong investment, right? This is, maybe for some people, this is the only investment they've made. And I see people choose the cheaper route. And, you know, I look at the transaction and go, wow, these people left all this money on the table. And, you know, there's nothing much to say. At the end of the day, they were happy with the transaction, right? But they didn't realize that their savings for the service that they thought they were gaining is actually costing them for it. For sure. There's definitely choice out there, and there's different variables, and, you know, there's competition, which is great. But ultimately, yeah, I think it's, you get what you pay for, right? So do you ever motivate your salespeople, your team members, your staff, your whatever? Do you motivate them with incentives? Do you incentivize them? Do you motivate them with fear? How do you do this? Both. How do you get people to do things? Both, I would say. You know, I like, in terms of the team members, you know, their biggest objective is dollar signs. You know, they salespeople, they enjoy, you know, closing that deal, and, you know, we motivate them by incentivizing to do so. We work on a very unique structure, where our team members essentially, you know, do benefit. And this is why we're able to operate a team for so long and successful, because, you know, we believe in investing into them, you know, giving them proper tools, providing them with good leads, that essentially builds a business out of them at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Well, we're starting to do more incentivized bonus-based systems, right? Like, so I see the numbers on the board, for example, and it's more of a competition. So it's kind of like both angles, right? Yep. Fear and incentive. So anyway, with that, thanks for watching, and talk to you soon. Thanks, Ken. Thanks for watching. Add it up.